So normally what we run into, and this, it's in fact, we had one just last week. The client said, well, this toilet just constantly is running, just nonstop. I've put filler valves, I put flappers in, and it just sits there just constantly. And so we open up the tank, and we look at it, and we're like, oh, it's full of dirt. Like there's a thin layer of sediment just built up at the bottom of the tank, even around the flapper. And so right then and there, if there's that much dirt there, it's also getting into your fill valve and more than likely your stop valve in the wall. So we're like, this is an opportunity for a sediment filter or sediment carbon filter, just bare bones protection for your lines.
Right. So in those situations, like when you fast forward a little bit, when you're building out your options, is it for like a toilet rebuild, a new toilet, and then new toilet with a water conditioning in it?
Yes.
So that's how you kind of look.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that. So depending on the condition of the actual tank, like if we open it up and it's got some dirt in it, then we go to look and see if the flapper's getting like hard water deposits stuck to it. And I'm like, looks like it's been a few years since this toilet's had any pieces put into it.
Yeah.
So we build that in as a rebuild toilet. And then if it's a toilet that's just like ancient of days, where it's like, 10 inches off the floor kind of toilet,
Wow.
Then we're like, we could also give you an option to get you a toilet where you don't have to get a hoist to pull yourself off. Because, and that's just what you run into.
People too. Right?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
They don't realize that.
Yep.
So, okay, let me take it this way first. So if you get one really old toilet in an old house, are you able to say, hey, Mrs. Jones, do you want me to look at your other toilets? Because if you're having problems with this one, maybe you're having it with the other bathrooms, one or two bathrooms you have?
And honestly, what I'll do is if she and I are right there next to the toilet, I'll be like, are you experiencing any of this with the other toilet? And she'll be like, most of the time, yeah, actually, like last month, I had to have someone come and put a little flapper on it or whatever. Then we'll be like, well, can we go take a look at it? And
when you keep I'm always with plumbing. There's so much plumbing stuff.
Oh man,
so much. So like if you're like, okay, let's look at some new toilets and maybe you get the soft close, the higher one. How do you talk to someone about their options on toilets?
Well, so I kind of have a little joke what I share with people, but I'm like, so we can provide you some options for a new toilet.
Yeah.
The coolest thing about it is whatever option we go with, we can get you what we call the right height toilet. So you're not going to have an issue getting up off of it. But depending on how Mercedes you want, and that's how I even word it to them, and they kind of, have a little chuckle.
Yeah.
They're like, well, Mercedes, I want a Mercedes toilet. And I was like, because you can spend a ton of money on a toilet. And so I'd let them know right then and there. I was like, depends on how fancy you want to go. We can give you those options as well.
So you just have certain toilets that you guys always use?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And that allows you to build it.
Yeah. So we have like with the straightforward pricing, we'll have like our standard deluxe and premier option toilets.
Oh, okay.
And so bare bones toilet it's all right height, but it's not going to be, thousands of dollars to swap it out.
So they at least kind of like, well, they got to ask you when you say Mercedes, Korey, what are we talking about price wise? Do you tell them it's ballpark, or you say, oh, we could talk about that in a minute when we do options, or how do you kind of deflect that objection?
And I guess I try not to look at it as an initial objection yet. They're just more so just kind of shopping a little bit.
Sure.
So I tell them I'm kind of vague at first. I'm like, well, after the Mercedes comment, I say, well, you can be anywhere from your basic of like a $400 to an $1,800 toilet. Just depends on what's the best fit for you guys.
Yeah.
And we'll go more in detail when we can put our options together and things like that.